Welcome back, everybody. Episode 107, Light Warriors Unleashed podcast. And this one is pretty aligned, let's just call it. Okay, let's just call it pretty aligned. I dive into three concepts that are going to assist us in moving through our 12th dimensional light bodies and reconnecting back in. And most of you guys are like, what? We're aiming for 5D. And I'm like, just wait till you listen to my podcast and listen in on that. And I will be diving into this more and more as we continue to expand and as I continue to integrate this. But I dive into some concepts today that I'm moving through myself, that are coming through of truth, that I am discovering in the world, being a part of these expanded collectives that I'm a part of, and meeting humans that are like really moving through this energetics. And as you know, discernment came up last week inside the podcast episode, and we're going to be having these conversations of truth. Most of the stuff we thought was true in the world is being dismantled now. And we can watch the infrastructures of control moving through the collective at this time. And three of the keys I'm going to give you today to help you keep shifting your energy and moving through your light bodies that are going to help. And they're small things. You know them already. You already know them. You've been told these in different ways, in different spaces, but most of humanity are not doing it right now, because we think that it is an optional piece. And sure, it is optional. You're in a free will experience. But if you actually desire to lean in to your mission on earth, to potently align in your impact, to really live the life you desire, these are non-negotiables. So without further ado, episode 107, Light Warriors Unleashed podcast. Well, here we go. Episode 107. And if you guys are watching this on YouTube, I am right now in a brightness of energies. And what I mean by that is like literally the sun shining through the clouds, even though it's not even, oh yeah, it's actually coming out through the clouds now, is coming right in blaringly in the window. And I couldn't find a way to not make it work. And I just was like, you know what? Screw it. I'm going to be fully illuminated for you guys in the space of things today. So I apologize on the quality of video if you're watching this on YouTube. But most of you guys are probably listening to this on your ear. You're probably like running, you're probably in your car, you're probably at work, you're moving from place to place. Because I don't know about you, but when I listen to podcasts, it's like I'm in a groove. I'll be in my kitchen, I'll be at the gym, depending on how I'm feeling that day, because sometimes the mode is I need some music to like really get me going. And other times it's like, let's put a podcast on the ear. So you guys are probably doing something in the space of awareness as you listen to this podcast. And I want to say, firstly, thank you for being here. Thank you for allowing me to speak into truth into your ear on the consistency, because most of you guys that are here listening to the podcast, it's one of your modalities, let's call it. It's one of your things that you dive into. And I can't wait to get into some concepts today to have a conversation with you. So I want to break down a narrative that I've been watching happen through the collective, meaning humanity, over the last few years. And this is going to be controversial for some of you. Some of you are following mentors that are believing in this concept, that are keeping vibrational energies low. And they may not consciously be in awareness that they're doing this, but they are doing this, right? And this is actually a thing. So I want to dismantle the conversation today about 5D energy. And, most of us have learned through the years. Now, when this like whole new earth 5D energy thing came through, I was kind of like, yeah, that kind of feels aligned, in the space of things. But I never fully dove in to be like, this is what we're creating. This is what's happening on the earth. I never fully bought in to that narrative, because there was always something inside of me that said, well, we came down to earth for this experience. We came down for the duality of earth. We came down to learn, to grow, to move through this. And our objective is to move through the duality within us and to understand it, to become one with it, and to bring it into wholeness, to be able to then circulate that energy into the world. And that is actually a truth. If you know anything about shadow work, if you know anything about like the dark feminine energy, about the dark masculine energy, we are transmuting the energy inside of us, which is then creating a ripple effect in the world. And we are watching narratives happen inside the world, and they're only getting deeper and darker of the things that are transpiring. And it's almost like it's mirroring the stuff inside of us that needs to come through to come out. And I do a lot of work in the Akashic Records. I tap into a lot of 5-dimensional energies through the Akashic Records, mostly through the energies of curiosity. And if you can imagine the energy of curiosity. And if you are questioning things, it allows you to open up a portal way into possibilities, right? It allows you to really like step into this space to be like, what does this mean? What's the answers for this? How can we show up in this space? What does this actually move within this awareness inside of things, right? And curiosity is a beautiful, beautiful energy because it allows us to open up a possible, like literally platform or portal way to then open up into this 5-dimensional energy to tap in to divine possibilities, right? Because when we are not curious, when we think we know it all, when we think it's only this way, we limit the box, right? It's like we create now the infrastructure around us that literally collapses us in. But when we start to get curious and ask questions and move through that energy, we open up this portal of possibility. So it's like this beautiful expansion. So I love, love, love watching people be curious, watching, curiosity move through the collective, watching all of us move through curiosity. And it's a beautiful thing from the 5D perspective, but there's a lot of spiritual gurus out there right now. And some of them, are literally convincing others that it's the 5D energetics that's going to shift the world. When a lot of them and a lot of us have been under a guise, or we'll call it like a blanket of energy that is keeping us in a lower vibration. When Atlantis was alive and well, let's call it, on the earth plane, we held 12-dimensional light bodies. So this was, as you can imagine, connecting into 12D energy, expanded energetics, okay? There isn't any distortion in the field. It was completely purely of light. It allowed us to be able to telepathically communicate and to be able to be on earth in these light bodies, to transcend, to heal, to move stuff through, and all this perspective. When Atlantis fell, those that took down, let's say Atlantis, like I'm calling it in more human form, took down Atlantis, put what we call like a gridlock or a lock on our energetic bodies. So we would not be able to tap back into 12-dimensional energy. And if you really sit with that for a second and feel that in your field, you'll be like, that feels like it's true. Like that feels like it's true. And I've been doing a lot of work in this energetic capacity over the last couple of weeks. And I'm like, this feels so, and my body's in goosebumps right now. This feels so, so fucking true. That our light bodies were gridlocked so that we couldn't access our telepathic communications. We couldn't, we were limited with the amount of like pineal gland and intuition that we could connect into. We forgot about all of these mechanisms. It was taking us a long time to heal our bodies. We couldn't figure it out. Then that brought on all the pharmaceutical stuff and the control in the world and all the things, right? Even though this happened hundreds of thousands of years ago, let's just say. Although I don't know the actual timeline of when Atlantis fell, but I knew that we had been starting to be gridlocked, and it's been hundred thousands of years. It's just crazy in the context of it all. And I think the timeline says that it was like 12,000 years ago that Atlantis fell. I'm not sure about the timeline. So if you guys are into facts, do not come to this podcast for factual evidence, because everything for me is about feeling, okay? Just put it that way, inside of the space of things. So we have been dismantled, and we have literally been in distorted energy for all these thousands of years, moving our way through. Now, a lot of the information to shift and changes was buried deep within some of the lineage lines. There's some people that have held the answers to this as we've moved through the earth experience and have passed it down from generation to generation for those to be able to bring forth the truth. And we are at this pivotal place in our expansion energetically that this truth is coming alive, that more and more people are discovering the fact that this is the actual mechanism, that when we tap in to our 12-dimensional bodies, we actually open up our palette to express and be on earth and to channel in all these things. And I've been doing this work instinctively for years, not knowing what I was doing, not consciously being in awareness of what was happening, but I was doing this. And why I'm saying this to you guys today is that inside of us are all the answers to everything. Our DNA is coded with the answers to all of it, to everything, to our experiences on earth, to our soul's mission, but to the grander scheme of life, to the answers of Atlantis, to why certain things have happened, to the coercion, I can't even say that word, coercion of the governmental systems in the world. we can see through all the guises if we start to open up and remember this. So a couple of the keys I want to like address in today's podcast and bring forth for us to consider are aspects of how we can do this. And one of the number one ways is in appreciation. And a lot of you guys have heard this through the gratitude portal of things, but this appreciation is more so for all things. So when you get up in the morning and there's a butterfly flying on a flower in your yard, how can you look at that in appreciation? How can you look at, like for me, the leaf cutter ants that in thousands and thousands of them follow a same line carrying leaves to their nest, which I don't even know what the fuck they do with these leaves. Like, what are you doing with all these leaves? Do you eat them? I don't even know. And they like take apart plants and take small pieces and carry these small pieces on their back to their nest, right? And it's this vibration of appreciation that starts to get us back into an alignment in these 12 dimensional bodies. There's a whole ton of protocols. There's a whole ton of things that I'm working within right now. Eventually, I will lean in to teach some of this where it's appropriate and where it feels aligned, because when you actually start to converse in this aspect of life into the world, you become a massive target in the collective. And I already battle a lot of energies every single day. I battle people's egos. I battle people being triggered by my energetic field. I battle in my mission every day in the world. And some of you have no idea what that even actually means, but it's like, I'm in the space and I've chosen this pathway for a reason. And I know somewhere along the line, I will step up and speak into what are these protocols, what is necessary. But today, I want to bring forth 3 concepts for you to start to really feel in your body and to lean into, not in a way of what you've been taught, but in a way of what feels in alignment. So appreciation in the space of things. And it's like, how can we wake up and appreciate everything? Like this cup of coffee that has some high potency collagen in it, because I'm trying to get a little bit of protein in before I go boxing this morning, my raw milk, my beans that are freshly roasted beans from Costa Rican land. And how do I sit with this for a moment in this appreciation of this as I take a sip for you guys? And it's in this energy that we get to open up more and more availability for appreciation, but to actually see the truth of life. And when you really feel it in your body and you think about that, you're like, fuck, that makes so much sense, right? Because it's like when we lean into the small things, we then open up for all the things, whatever that means for you, right? And it's like, I don't think we really understand, especially us in North America, because I have this availability and beauty of the land that serves me here in Costa Rica, but Costa Rica was a choice. And I chose to step up and to step in to come here. I chose to have the guts to do this. I chose to have the courage to say I was and to do it. Right. And it was like, when I wake up every day, sure, like right now, I'm looking out at a fucking jungle. I literally live right beside the river. And this is all protected land. Nobody can build on it. And it is a beautiful landscape. Like right now, I'm watching an iguana climb up of a tree. Like it's just like, and the way that the sun kind of comes into the space. And I'm like, it's these moments that we don't take enough time in as humans because we're running in busyness. And it was set up that way, especially in North America, especially in cities some of you guys are living in. This was the narrative. Let us get them so busy that they forget about the small things that open them up to their spiritual journey, that open them up to their spiritual expansion. Appreciation, number 1. Number 2, self-discipline. Now, this is going to show up in a whole other conversation way, and you may be like, Colleen, this is kind of weird. Like you're talking about self-discipline because it feels like it's more of a human thing. But we are being called into self-discipline in our practices of life, right? And how we show up in our human form to connect in spiritually. And yeah, it does have stuff to do with the physical form and the self-discipline of how we show up in the world. For sure, it has to do with that as well. But it has to do more with the actions necessary to connect in deeper to ourselves. Our meditation practice, our quieting practices, our connection to nature practices, our breath work practices. Some of you do yoga practices. You know, it's like journaling for some of you, affirmations and really locking in that energetics, visualization for some of you. And it's like in those practices are actually the keys to opening it up more inside of your space. So I've spoken into in the fact that I'm moving through this protocol for 12th dimensional energy. And I am desiring, whoa, to really, really, I just like hit my desk and like change some shit, to really, really shift, to shift energetics in the field of things. And I am really desiring to move this energy through my physical form, to access this, to be with this, to remember the parts of me that I've forgotten. Maybe not all of them, but a lot of them, right? What do I need to know right now in order to assist better in my mission on Earth? What do I need to know right now in order to move through this? How am I to connect in deeper to my being to support this flow of humanity? And in this space is these practices, is I have some tonality, like Psalms that I'm working through, like not in a way of Bible Psalms, but in a way of Psonn. That's how it's pronounced, Psalms. And that I do every single day that are like kind of like a light language / old school mantras. We'll call it that. This specific meditation I do 3 times a day, then this activation that I partner that up with. And then I've got some reading protocols to kind of get through this like 250-page book of ancient knowledge that most of the time I don't even understand a lot of it, which is really kind of cool, right? Because I'm really in knee-deep naivety as a student inside this space, which I actually love and adore, right? Because there's not a lot of information. And I say this with so much like humility, okay? There is not a lot of information that I pick up that, especially in the spiritual realm, that surprises me or that I can't grasp or understand. There is such a deep-rooted connection to me that's already activated that I'm like, I get that. I understand that. I used to teach that. I had a past life there. I had this, I had that, blah, 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 all the things that started to move through. And I'm like, this information though is like, what the fuck does the Christos Emerald Order activation thing mean? Like, literally, that's where I'm in. I'm like, okay, how do we start from the beginning? And how do I work through this? And what does this mean for me? And how does this align in the field of things? And how am I shifting this energy in my field? And this is the quest that we're actually on, is that discovery. But it takes self-discipline for me to bring it into my day, because I also have puppies that need support. I also have work that needs support. I have marketing that I need to step into. I've got to call in more people into my world and into my mission. I've got to step up. I've got publicity to do, like podcast interviews and summits and things along those lines. I've got life to live. Nobody else is doing anything in my home for me. So I've got to cook all the food, because the dogs eat cooked human food like I do. I've got to cook all the food. I've got to do all the dishes. I've got to do all the laundry, all the things. My floor needs to be swept twice a day because it's that dirty from the dogs. Like, it's like I still have life to live. And then I have to work out because I choose that. And I'm incorporating new things. Like, we start puppy training again this week. I start my Spanish lessons again tomorrow, twice a week. I've got boxing with my trainer twice a week. And I desire to actually go on beach walks again because I do not have a tan anymore. And I'm like, that's crazy, right? But we do get rain a lot of the time in the afternoon. However, like right now it's sunny out. Like technically it's high tide, so I can't really go for a walk because I'll get taken out. But like, well, I may not, depending on what the size of high tide is, but the size of the waves today. However, like I desire these things. How do I make it fit in my life? Right? How do I make it fit in my world? Plus, I've got girlfriends that want to have coffee, and some days I want to do yoga and experience that. And then, Friday night, like the girls are getting together. My girlfriend's driving down 2 hours, from her place to stay at my house. Like there's like just stuff there. Right. And it's like, how are we really moving this through? How are we stepping up into this experience to maneuver this? And it's like, how and what is coming through us to be disciplined in our world, to serve our physical forms, but more importantly, to serve our energetic bodies, protection mechanisms, clearing protocols, how we show up in the world. All of this is imperative and important right now in the landscape of things. And the last part that I want to speak into today is self-love. And not in a way of this cheesy self-love that's been moving through the collective, or like 5 years ago, self-love energy. I am talking about purely connecting into you. You've chosen this physical form. this personality, this mission, these dynamics of your life for a reason. You chose all of this. You chose your hair color, except for if you're like me who changes their hair color all the time. You've chosen. So like, I don't even know when the last time I was just my, like, I have a really light brown, natural hair color and my grays are coming through right now. And one of my girlfriends like, just let the grays come out. I'm like, dude, I'm only 43 and I'm still single. I'm not ready to let the grays come out yet, especially when I look so young still. I'm like, no, like maybe the grays will make me look older. But I'm just like, I'm not prepared yet. I'm like, I'm not. So I was literally at the hairdresser's last week and we did like this balayage. If you're on the video, you can kind of see it. It's ginger color because I couldn't pull all the blonde out, but I will be. I'm going to have it like really dark brown and blonde. And I actually desire that. And I want to lean into that now. Whereas 2 years ago, it was like a really dark, like level 3 brown, a really dark ash. And I can wear that too, you know, but I've chosen this physical form. I've chosen all of it. When my body and I am out of alignment, my body will gain weight and I will watch it happen and see it in real time when I am out of kilter, when things are maneuvering through my field that aren't aligned in the space of things. I watch it happen. You know, this morning I woke up and it was like, you need to start using your castor oil pack for at least the next couple of weeks because I've got to help the body purify. I've been in really intense energetics, especially with these upgrades that I'm doing in the energetic world. Now my physical form needs some support. So I will dive into that. I've cut out all the things that are necessary for this. I did have a margarita on Friday and I felt high after a margarita. And I could like, when I just taste, I was like, what am I doing? You know, it doesn't make any sense anymore, right? That's that self-discipline piece too. I'm like, I'm not into this. And it reminds me again of the choices. And it's like the commitments we make to ourselves are a showcase of self-love, right? The commitments we buy into and we step up into and we hold in our energetic field are a commitment of self-love. So where are you letting yourself down? Are you heightened in this connection within yourself? Are you accepting yourself in all of the capacity that you are to show up? Like, you know, yeah, granted, I would love it if I had a little bit less back fat around the bra line that I don't even wear bras anymore. I would love that. I would love it if my stomach was a bit more toned. I would love it if my arms would show you that I actually have bicep muscles. I would love all that things, you know. I would also love like if this dynamic changed in my body or if that changed in my body or all of these things, but I'm like, fuck that. Here's who I am today. Here's who I am right now in this moment of time, and I am lovingly accepting her. And if this changes because of actions I take and movement forward, I'm not driven for the change. I'm driven for the optimal connection within. And that's what drives me every single day inside of the space of things. It's like, that's why I do the activities. That's why I step up into this space. That's why I move that energy through, because that's what I really desire. So feeling into this for your own self, it's like, where in your life right now are you disconnected from your own self? And it's time to bring that back forward because implementing these 3 like energetics, we're going to call them because they are energetics in your life and really working with them will allow this palette to open. It will allow you to be connected here. It will allow you to show up in this space to actually serve yourself first and then your mission next. And that's the thing that is coming through right now. It's like, guys, we're at a pivotal point in the collective energies. We are being called forward to shift, to change, to adjust, to move this energetics through. And it's not about 5D energy. This is about bringing us back into our holistic light bodies that we had when we walked on Earth. That's the whole mission, is to dismantle the gridlock that's been keeping all of humanity fucking in this low vibration. Will everybody make it? No, because it's going to take them work to get there. They're going to have to do their inner child work. They're going to have to do their shadow work. They're going to have to fucking up their practices every day. They're going to have to believe that this is actually a thing. They're going to want to have to change. Most of humanity don't want to do the work. And maybe you're in that space too, where you're like, I'm done doing the work. I'm done. I'm giving up on that space of my life. It got too fucking hard, or I didn't feel safe and I want to go back to safety, or whatever the fuck it is that's moving through your field right now. But we are calling and being called to step the fuck up in this space. We are being called back into the purity of this light. And it is not an easy feat. We are clearing thousands of years of distortion. Yeah, you are. Your field is clearing that. And we're opening up the palette for others to come in, because when one light shines brighter, it allows other lights to see the illumination and make choices. It's like, that's where we are in this pivotal shifting dynamic of change. And when we start to really understand this and lead within this, all the petty, stupid, small shit in our life becomes moot. It doesn't even matter anymore. And you're like, fuck. And when we talk about surrendering and letting go, it gets so much easier to do that when we lean into this space. So I wanted to drop that in your field today for you to feel, for you to be with, for you to move with, because this is important. And this is where we're at in the collective of energies. So how can you start to show up in your life right now in a different way that is connected purely into who you really are? And I will move through more conversations about this 12-dimensional energy. I will drop more tools in as we expand through. I will teach this in some way, shape, or form sometime over the next little while that people can dive into. I don't know what that's going to look like yet. I have no idea, because I'm at the beginning parts of the journey. And if I haven't integrated it, I cannot teach it. I cannot teach it. I can't. It's out of integrity and authenticity and the alignment of the energetics. And I need to be able to be boldly in the space of things when I lean into this. Because the second I start to talk about this into the world, I'm going to get shit on energetically. So I've got to be ready for that. Just like you may be getting shit on right now by people in your life, by the haters on your Instagram, by some of the shit that you're sharing. Here's what I want to say to you. Share it anyways. Step the fuck up. Keep moving the needle through. Keep accelerating your light. We've got a lot to shift in the world. Starts within yourself, though. I love you guys. See you guys all in the next episode.